Hello there, good morning and welcome to this, the WP Builds weekly WordPress newsletter. This is number 61 and it's covering the WordPress weekly news for the week commencing on the 29th of April 2019 and it was published on the 6th of May 2019. Few things before we begin. Head over to wpbuilds.com, the website, and use the links at the top. The first one is the subscribe link, and it will enable you to get onto our newsletter so that we can keep you updated about this, the podcast, product updates, coupon codes, all of that kind of stuff. You can also join us on our Slack channel, our Facebook group. We put everything out on YouTube as well. Literally every single piece of content goes out on there. So if that's the way you like to consume things, maybe that's a good thing. And also you can, use iTunes and Google Podcasts and submit reviews on iTunes and all of that good stuff. The next one that I want to mention is the deals link, wpbuilds.com/deals. I keep saying it, but I'm going to keep saying it. Basically, if you're in the market for some WordPress products, go and check out that page because we've got coupon codes for absolutely loads of things. If you are a plugin or theme developer and you want to add something on there, just reach out and let me know. wpbuilds.com/contribute if you would like to join me, and I'll be mentioning somebody that did this week. But yes, go to there and fill out the form if you'd like to come on and share some experience of something that you did that you think is nice and clever. And the last one is /advertise. If you are a product owner and you would like to bring your product to a wider audience, well, WP Builds is certainly becoming that. And we could put your product on our podcast. We've got banner ads and we do audio inserts. And the audio inserts sound a bit like this. The WP Builds newsletter was brought to you today by Kinster. Are you tired of unreliable or slow hosting? If so, check out Kinster, who takes managed WordPress hosting to the next level. Powered by the Google Cloud Platform, all their plans include PHP 7, SSH, and 24/7 expert support. Migrate today for free at kinster.com. Okay, let's get stuck into the news itself. 2 items this week under the banner of WordPress Core. The first one is over on wordpress.org and it's entitled WordPress 5.2 Release Candidate 2, and it is exactly that. WordPress 5.2 is allegedly going to be released into the wild on May the 7th, so the day after this podcast episode has gone out. There's not really a lot to say, as we're very, very close now to the release date. Most of the bugs have been tied up, but there's a couple of track tickets here. The release candidate includes the final About page redesign. It also contains fixes for proper translation of the recovery mode notification emails, improvements in the way site health works with multi-site installs. So there we go. That's basically the roundup of that article. The next one is over at WordPress.org again, and this kind of is a nice little article called The Month in WordPress, April 2019. And if you haven't been listening to these episodes of the WordPress Weekly News, tut, but should you not, you can go back and find out all of the important things that have happened in WordPress over the last month, just core. So for example, it's got headings for site health check, fatal error recovery mode, privacy and accessibility updates, new dash icons, block editor upgrades, and there we go. I've mentioned all of those things as I should do, but they're all captured in this one page, which is quite nice. It also mentions that on the 11th of May 2019, so this week, WordPress Translation Day 4 will begin. It's a 24-hour global event dedicated to the translation of all things WordPress, from core to themes, plugin to marketing, and you can find that on that page as well. So if that's your thing and you know multiple languages, it might be a nice project to get stuck into. I said there was only 2 articles in WordPress Core. I was wrong. There's a third one, and this one is over on the WP Tavern website. It's entitled WordCampus Gutenberg Accessibility Audit Finds Significant and Pervasive Accessibility Problems. This article, written by Sarah Gooding, is a summation of all of the Gutenberg accessibility audit, which was begun in January last year. WPCampus put out a request to raise some money because it was decided that the core team weren't going to carry out an accessibility audit. Slightly later, Matt and Mullingwood stepped up and said, actually, we'll pay the difference. Whatever you find, we'll pay the difference. And so a company called Tenon put together this accessibility report, and it's quite damning. Essentially, they're saying that it's a step backwards. It's a very, very long thing. I didn't read it, 329 pages of technical detail. There's a 34-page executive summary, but basically it's a step backwards. Now, it was done in January. Things have moved on. We're obviously now in May. So about 120 of the issues that were raised have allegedly been stamped out since then. But the report says Gutenberg has significant and pervasive accessibility problems, the likes of which amount to a step backwards for users with disabilities over the legacy editor. Our user-based testing, backed by data from our technical review, indicates that the accessibility problems are severe in nature. What they're saying is if you have accessibility concerns or you have clients, basically get them at this point to use the legacy, the classic editor. And this will no doubt infuriate those people who said, let's not put Gutenberg out for these exact reasons. WordPress obviously touts its accessibility credentials, but obviously it's been done. We now need to move on and get the thing updated. Okay, we've got one article today under the banner of community. Those of you who like going to WordCamps, one of the biggest ones, I think it's the second biggest after WordCamp Europe, is WordCamp US. It is going to be in St. Louis on November the 1st to November the 3rd, 2019, and tickets are now available. I've linked to the WP Tavern website, which then links back out to the place where you can go. $50 for attendees. This whole speaker thing hasn't started up yet, but the dates are all on there. You're allowed to take your children free of charge, and I'm not entirely sure whether that means there's going to be things for them to do, or do they go around with you? Not entirely sure. But nevertheless, get yourself a ticket soon. They do sell out rather quickly. And if you get in quite soon, they have booked out a whole block of Marriott St. Louis Grand rooms at a special rate. There's only a few of those, so if you follow this article, you can find the rates for those. I think it's $149 per night, which is a reduction. So if you're going to go and you're going to go and you want to snap up a good hotel room deal, that might be the way to go. Okay, I did have 3 articles. I've pared it down to only 2, but they're about exactly the same thing. I thought it was quite interesting that there were 3 articles concentrating on the exact same security patch or vulnerability from this week. I've linked to 2 of them. The first one is over at WordFence. The second one is over at ThreatPost, but I'll only talk about it once because it is only one thing. It's entitled on WordFence, Unauthenticated Media Deletion Vulnerability Patched in WooCommerce Checkout Manager Plugin. Basically, if you are using WooCommerce Checkout Manager plugin, one of the capabilities that it has is it allows people in the checkout process to upload files. Not entirely sure why they would wish to do that, but presumably there's a specific need for that. And it means that in this case, because there is a problem with the plugin, they were able to arbitrarily upload any kind of file, which obviously causes a bit of a problem. Not only that, after WordFence started digging around, they also discovered an unauthenticated media deletion flaw. So that means that they could basically delete things from your media library, which could be, I suppose, catastrophic. So the plugin has been updated. Go and get the new version. The WordFence premium users have got this as a firewall rule already, so it's not too much of a problem, but go and fix it, get it updated if you need to. And like I said, there's a second post on ThreatPost that I've linked to as well. Quite a few bits of plugin news this week, and all of these come under plugins and themes. First one is all about Genesis. Feels to me like Genesis has kind of lost its mojo. I don't mean that in the sense that it's not working and not brilliant. I mean it in the sense of it doesn't seem to occupy the once revered space that it did. It's being talked about less, I feel. They have a new update. It's Genesis 2.10. And Genesis is now overseen by WP Engine, and so this is on the WP Engine website. There are new automations with WP CLI, so you can get, I'll read what it says. It says WP Genesis setting will retrieve the value of Genesis settings, WP Genesis setting update will update the value of a Genesis setting, and WP Genesis DB version retrieves the current database version. So if you're a developer, those hooks might be quite useful to you. It also allows you to access Genesis plugins, so you can modify the plugins a bit more easily. And there's also an update to the whole one-click theme setup. In 2.8, they introduced one-click setup for themes, and they've made it a whole lot better. I think now you can organize which plugins are going to be installed as part of the setup as well. And they've also begun the process of putting everything, all of the settings are going to be moved into the WordPress customizer. That's quite an interesting approach. Every setting apparently will be moved over. They say Genesis 2.10 will begin the process, as previously mentioned, of moving Genesis settings management to the WordPress customizer. Rather than having their own pages, theme and SEO settings will now appear in the customize window within WP admin. So there we go, a significant update. The next one is over at BuddyPress. It's actually an article on WP Tavern, but it's about BuddyPress. We mentioned over the course of WordPress 5.2 coming about, we've got this new site health option, which hopefully will stop white screens of death, and it will give you some data, some feedback about what has gone wrong, if something has gone wrong, so that you can go and fix it. Well, BuddyPress have stepped up, and with BuddyPress 5.0, they have integrated a lot of their data into the site health check. So if you go and install this and you've got site health enabled and you're looking at that, it shows you all sorts of data about what capabilities have been enabled by BuddyPress. Now, I'm not really a BuddyPress user, but it's nice to see somebody doing this. And obviously in the future, if you've got a plugin, this is the sort of thing that will become expected. It will be expected that you're giving data over to site health, so that should things go wrong, we can see where those problems might lie. So it kind of the first iteration of people stepping up and doing that. TalkMag have had a plugin madness competition going for 4 years now, and whilst you may not agree that it's fair, it is a bit of fun, I suppose. You know, comparing completely different plugins that do utterly different jobs is a bit of an interesting way of going about it, but there you go. But it is to say that this year, after all of the permutations have been calculated, Elementor Page Builder was this year's winner. Last couple of years, it's been won by WPMU Dev's Smush plugin, and this year it was won by Elementor. So I suppose it's just saying congratulations for doing that. We obviously know that it's incredibly popular, and this certainly demonstrates that. From one page builder to another, now we're moving on to Beaver Builder. Not Beaver Builder itself, but an add-on called Power Pack for Beaver Builder. This week they've got a new update. They had one last week as well, so they're on fire at the minute, and it's all about search forms. The strapline is create stunning search forms with Beaver Builder. Essentially, if you're a Power Pack user, you've now got the capability to customize the way that your search forms look. There's some really nice examples on the webpage. They're very elegant and beautiful. So yeah, nice little update from Power Pack this week. Two articles following about the same thing. The first one is over at lazyblocks.com, and the second one is the exact same plugin over on WordPress.org, so you can download it. It says LazyBlocks is a Gutenberg block visual constructor for WordPress developers. You can create custom meta fields as well as blocks with output HTML. And add editor controls to your blocks using drag and drop visual constructor. Create post templates with predefined blocks, any post type. It's completely free download. It looks really nice. It's a nice way of using the block editor to create blocks of your own. It can be cumbersome and difficult to do that. There's absolutely loads and loads of controls available: repeater, text, text area, range, URL, password, gallery, and code editor, and loads more. And it's got a few ratings over at wp.org, 13 5-star, 3 4-star, and that's it for now. But yeah, just if you're using blocks and you want to carry on using the block editor, then this might be a way of creating your own with less hassle. A theme now. This is GeneratePress. GeneratePress Premium 1.8.0 has now come around. This article is massive because they've really done a great job. This is Tom Osborne, who's been on the podcast a couple of times. Loads and loads of updates. I'm going to just stick to the headlines. There is a menu mini cart, which allows you to put your WooCommerce products at the top right of your website. Number of menu items in the cart are shown, so that's in your navigation as well. Sticky panel to add to cart, so essentially this little sticky panel at the top of your website. Sticky add to cart menu available, and that drops down as you scroll up. Improved quantity fields, single product image width, other WooCommerce tweaks, there's about a dozen of those. Navigation as a header, off canvas overlay, mobile header branding, better spacing controls, content separator, site library redesign, content area width, customizer shortcuts, sticky navigation logo, and multi-language elements. So if you're a GeneratePress user, and certainly if you've got premium, there's absolutely loads coming down the wire, and with the next update, go check it out. Last one this week under the banner of plugins and themes, we've got ProjectHuddle 3.3.0 beta come out. Andre Gagnon's been on the podcast a couple of times now, and now we've got some new options. Beta testing, if you are a beta tester of this plugin, then you'll know that these are around, but it's client login registration without a password, so you can now set it up so that the people looking at your ProjectHuddle projects will no longer have to log in. Assign mockup conversions, improved email notification rules, and website commenting performance improvements. So, for example, conditional rendering, lazy loading, and so on and so forth. So, yeah, that can be expected soon. As soon as it's finished in beta, it will roll out. We've actually done quite a lot on WP builds this week. The first one I'm going to mention is that we put out a podcast episode, David and I, called Is Web Design Dead? It was a bit of a clickbaity title. I don't really think, looking back on it, that web design is the correct word for this, because we were talking about is agency work, is the work of building websites, is this going to be around for much longer? What with all the wonderful new simple tools? We have a nice discussion about it, and we end up thinking, as you might expect, no, we don't think it is. But it's nice discussing all of those processes with David. The other one I'm going to mention is that we did a contribute episode this week with Branden Tolle. It's entitled Using Gravity Forms and Zapier to Create Gift Certificates. These contribute episodes, if you've not come across them, I share my screen with you and we do a short visual podcast, a screencast if you like, and in this case Branden Tolle came on and he showed us how he'd connected these things. It's really interesting, a few bits of bespoke PHP so that you can use a Gravity form and then generate gift certificate unique random numbers to put in the gift certificates. It's really good. The last one this week is that we had a webinar with Ben Dell from Hey Summit. He's also from Missing Letter and Help Shelf. Well, he came on because he's currently selling his Hey Summit product over on AppSumo, and he came to tell us what it all does. The idea of this SaaS product is that if you're running online summits, you can make the whole process run a lot more smoothly. It essentially makes things easier. It sends out all of the registration details to your attendees, and it sends out all the details to the presenters and creates images and so on. And he explains how the product works. Very interesting. I would say if you've got any hope of getting this product, now is a good time because it's so cheap as on a lifetime deal with AppSumo. Okay, we've got three things which have got nothing to do with WordPress but are interesting anyway. Over on Search Engine Journal, Mark Zuckerberg at the F8 conference that they run each year announces a new e-commerce and payment platform all built inside WhatsApp. And I suppose the idea here is that in the future you'll be able to directly sell products inside of WhatsApp. He showed how it works and what it might look like, and the idea is that you'll have a WhatsApp product catalog. So it's kind of feels to me like Facebook is undergoing some changes, some much needed changes, I would say, perhaps moving away a little bit from the advertising model and, in this case, moving to an e-commerce model. So very, very interesting indeed. The next one is all about the fact that the Creative Commons has now got a search engine. Creative Commons, you can find images, and they've got a search engine now. It's in beta. It's got 300 million images. I've not used it, so I can't tell you what the quality of those images is like or where they're sourced from. But the intention here, of course, is to supply 300 million images that don't have any royalty attached, so that you can use them as they are on your clients or your own website. So it might be worth looking to see if you can find anything for your next web project. And finally, this is astonishing. I love this. It's a very simple website. It does one thing. It's called colorize.sg, and it's color spelt in the English sense of the word with a U in it. And it enables you to take black and white photos, and within seconds, it will create a color version of the exact same image. Now, I tried it on a few old images that I've got lying around, and it was breathtakingly good. And what I mean by that is it just knew that trees should be green, and that human faces should be this colour, and that clothes ought to be this colour. And it knew, for example, that this was hay, and so it gave it a hay colour. And I did one of a Christmas tree, and it knew that tinsel should be bright and sparkly. Absolutely amazing. So if you need to colour some images that are black and white, goodness knows why you would have to do that, but there you go, it can now be done at colorize.sg. Okay, that's all the news we've got for you this week. I hope you found something useful in that. The WP Builds newsletter is brought to you by Kinsta. Kinsta takes managed WordPress hosting to the next level. Powered by the Google Cloud Platform, your site is secured like Fort Knox and runs on speed-obsessive architecture. You get access to the latest software and developer tools such as PHP 7, SSH, and staging environments. And the best part, their expert team of WordPress engineers are available 24/7 if you need help. So you can migrate today for free at kinsta.com. And as I said before, much obliged to Kinsta for helping keep the lights on the WP Builds podcast. Okay, we'll be back next week with a news bulletin. We'll be back on Thursday if you want to listen to our regular podcast. And we're doing a brand new thing. Each week I'm going to be having some people on a live webinar, 3 or 4 guests, so me and 2 or 3 other people. And we're going to be talking about the WordPress news. We did one last week with Paul Lacey and Chris Badgett and Kyle Van Dusen. And it was a bit of a hit. Really enjoyed doing it. So we're doing another one this week and hopefully each week from now on. So maybe we'll see you on that live webinar over in the Facebook group. Okay, thank you for listening. Bye-bye for now.